welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam, and I know it's Wednesday. I know that the newest episode of the Book of Boba Fett has come out. I have not watched it yet, because it is 9 o'clock in the morning, and I am on my way to work. I did get to see, as the title would suggest, Naomi, the new show from the CW, the people at CW. Let me have the first episode, for free, and not for free, but in advance. It doesn't come out until next Tuesday. So we'll be talking about that a little bit today. No spoilers, because the show hasn't come out yet. It's one thing if, like, when I do Beware of Spoilers usually, and I spoil a TV show or a movie or something, it's usually, like, the day after. So it is, different to spoil it then, because at that point, someone can wait to listen. And they're not, like, if I talk about The Flash, someone who's listening to a review of The Flash Armageddon, in all likelihood, has either watched the show or is impending going to watch the show. Because, at that point, they're going to. The Flash is not the number one show on the network anymore. I saw that statistic. I saw that All American now is. Which is pretty interesting. I've been meaning to watch All American. I'm a big fan of sports, shows, movies, all that kind of stuff. Pitch was really good. A lot of people don't give Pitch a lot of credit. It was a show that was on Fox for 1 year about the first woman pitcher in the MLB. It was fictional. It's not real, but it only lasted one season, but it was a pretty good show. I think you can catch it on Hulu now. Anyway, we're way off topic. Naomi. Based on the book by Brian Michael Bendis in 2019. Tells the story of Naomi McDuffie. There are a few things I can't talk about because they don't want me to address them. Because they don't want me to spoil it for people who have not seen the show, which is the majority of the general public at this point. It's pretty cool, though. I do like the show. It's a mystery. In so much as, in so much as, it's about, finding out what happened in a situation. I'm trying to dance around spoilers here. Really, a smart thing to do would have been to write down what I was going to do in advance. That would be the, smart thing to do, but I did not. It's about trying to find out what happened, when an incident happens, there's a Superman-related incident that happens. This does not take place on Earth Prime or Earth 1 or wherever the fuck the rest of the Arrowverse takes place, because it's a world where, there are, fictional comics about DC heroes. There are a few, in one of the comic stores that they're in, there are a few, DC Rebirth comics from DC Rebirth. I recognize a few of them because I own them, the collections. But yeah, it's it's about a girl who's trying to find out, something that happened with the Superman event. And it's a pretty well-contained story, and it's it feels more like Stargirl than, say, Batwoman or Arrow or Flash or Supergirl, where it's, it's this, it's a bunch of, teenagers who are working together to solve a mystery. And really, it doesn't really even feel like a DC show. It feels like a show kind of tangentially related to DC because, Superman is constantly there, kind of background radiation. But it really works almost as if it wasn't a DC show altogether. There are a few things that I can't talk about that I've seen in this show that I'm going to omit. What else did I want to address with this? I think that the only thing that I think could have been, and the thing is too, it's a pilot, and a pilot, especially for network TV, is going to have the usual trappings of a pilot, which is why it's good that they let people who, review, see in advance the first 2 episodes, because the pilot is always going to have some trappings to it. Heavy-handed expository dialogue about, about key things in the show. It's kind of a trademark for what's it called for most pilots at this point, where it's like, we are in an effort to tell the story cohesively and correctly. What they'll do is, in the time allotted, no less, they'll be forced to what's what I'm looking for here? Throw dialogue into the show that's going to take you out of it, because no one talks like that. Like, very early on, they're expositing a former relationship that Naomi had been in, and her friend is like, "Don't you remember you broke up?" Like, of course she remembers she broke up with him. But they have to establish that relationship quickly, and look, over-the-top expository dialogue is a thing. It's like there's a meme that went around on Twitter a few years back where it's like, you can cram in information in dialogue, where it's like, you have a guy sitting in a restaurant, and instead of have him saying, "I'll have a Coke," you have him say, "As a former professional football coach who's left the sport in disgrace, I'll have a Coke." And it's like you're relaying all that additional information, and it's like that's a really bad example, but you get that from time to time in the pilot, and that's kind of something you have to expect in a pilot, where it's like expository dialogue of like, "Yeah, we adopted you," like, okay. Like, that, there's a cleaner way to do that, but it's not about cleanliness. It's it's more about expediency. It's kind of like battlefield triage in that regard, where it's like we have to get the information out and done. Clean doesn't matter. Clean can happen later. Now we just want to make sure all the information that is needed to understand what is going on is here and understandable. And I think that if you can look past that in other shows, you'll be able to look past it here. I'm not going to, harken too deeply on it. I just wanted to point out, it's one of those little things, it's like that, and, second episode dialogue is another thing that I really like to point out, when it's like, is that only way to talk to your brother? Like, yeah, well, it points out, you see what that's for. The effects are good. I will give it that. Like, the Superman fight can look a little wonky at times, but granted, I just sat through The Flash, Armageddon, and that show I would assume has a much bigger budget for its quote-unquote crossover event. And the effects looked dubious at times. Season 7 of The Flash, when they had the fight of all the forces, looked cartoony at times. I feel like that was it's one of those things where if you're going to watch show on CW, you have to expect these things, and I think at this point, there are going to be detractors online who are like, the detractors, not the tractors, the detractors online who are like, "Oh, look at how shitty this looks," and it's like, well, that they're going to say that about no matter what. It's like, it doesn't look as good as like Justice League or like the movies, and it's like, well, no, because the movie has $200 million for 2 hours, and they can refine the effects, and they can do all of this other stuff. Like, they have, like, some 66 million, give or take, for, 22 hours of television. Like, it is a huge, huge difference in what should be and is expected of a show like that. So yeah, the effects are a little bit wonky at times, but by and large, there's one big effect shot that looks really good, and it really sets up things going forward that I really loved, and hopefully if they could stay on that level going forward, that would be great. But I think that's wishful thinking on my part. I'm not gonna say that definitively one way or the other this show is going to stay with good effects or bad effects, because quite honestly, I haven't seen, I've only seen 2 episodes. I don't know how long of a run this show is going to have, I don't know if it's a 12-episode series or a 22, 26, like the other show. Like, Stargirl runs 13 episodes each season, which I think benefits that show in a way that, The Flash and, Arrow, to an extent, like, those shows were hurt in the long run by the full seasons. I don't think that, you're going to have that same thing with this show. Naomi, it comes out next Tuesday, I believe, Tuesday the 11th. Will be available on your local CW affiliate. I know here it's WPIX Channel 11 in New York, downstate. I want to say it's like channel 13 or something in like the Albany area, or 21. I don't remember. But it, down here, it is down here in downstate, tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. It is channel 11. If you do not want to use cable to watch it, you can watch it on what's the name of that app? The CW app. If you download the CW app or you go to CW's website, you can watch the show on there, including your subscription. Not even including your subscription. It is free, totally free. There's ads, and I've said it before, but I would pay like $6 a month for a subscription fee to watch it without ads, but it is totally worth your time to watch that. And once the show comes out, I'll do full spoiler breakdowns of each episode as usual, but this was just the people at CW let me see the episode early, so I wanted to get it out there, get the word out that the show is really good. I mean, I know it may not have sounded like it when I gave when I did this. I really seemed to harp on the negatives, but all the new coming cast is great. There is no carryover from other Arrowverse shows. It's all new people, and like when I looked on Wikipedia, none of them were people who I had heard of before, or who have had major roles really before. And I think that it would work, it works to the show's advantage, and as long as the new coming cast is all performing well, then it doesn't matter if they're new coming or if they're returning. I think the biggest name in the show is what's her name from SVU? Stephanie Marsh, I think her name, or March. She's the biggest name on the show, and she hasn't even made her appearance yet in either of the episodes. They just announced it a few weeks back that she was going to be on the show. But besides that, there are no big names besides, Ava DuVernay, who is, producing, and maybe directing. I gotta look at the email again. But, yeah, it is very much worth your time to watch this show. And I think the thing is, too, it's going to bridge the gap a little bit of people who want a straight superheroic show and people who don't. Because it very much is a mystery, more than a, and the other thing I really like about, the way CW adapts their heroes is one of the most consistent things that happens on their shows is, family. They're all about, family and family staying together and all of that. It's like you don't get a ton of strife within family units as established. You don't get, you don't get, there were a few episodes early on in The Flash where, Barry is feuding with, Joe. But beyond that, it's they very quickly realized they shouldn't do that. There was family drama in Arrow, but that show was kind of built more say, Dynasty or something like that, but with a guy dressed as Robin Hood, in the beginning, killing people. And that show works in that way more than the other shows do. So I think that that was different. But, for the sake of this, it's not constant, fights with her parents or fights with anyone. It's like everyone kind of gets along, and it's like, we don't need. I mean, obviously there will be family drama, as is the case with shows like this. There will always be a need for family drama, and that's a very easy well to fall into, and go back to whenever they need an excuse to bring up drama. It's like, well, fight with the family. Easy, tried and true. It'll work. As of right now, none of it. And I like it, because it's like, that was one of the things that worked about Black Lightning, where it's like, in Black Lightning, him and his daughters and his wife, yeah, there were some, minor, like, skirmishes, but it never was like, no one's talking to each other. No one, they're always fighting. Same thing with, like, The Flash, where, like, there are minor incidents, but, at the end of the day, they're still family, so that, the fights don't destroy them. Stargirl, the family unit is a big deal on that show, and also the found family of the Justice Society, that works out. And then there was, what was the other one? Supergirl. Like, the relationship between Alex and Kara is probably one of the best relationships between sisters on television in the modern age, where it's like, they get along, and they have disagreements. It's not a perfect relationship where everything 100% of the time is always unanimous. They're in the same boat, but it doesn't harm their relationship in any meaningful way. And I think that's a big, that's another thing that really works to that show. And this show carries on that tradition, which is kind of one of those things that's like, it's unique, because at the same time, while I say that you can bring up family drama later if you need, cheap drama in an episode, they do rarely go back to that well. They'll do family disagreements or minor family quarrels, but it's never like full-blown, like no one's talking to each other for like 3 episodes. Like, Arrow got into places where it was like, we're going to not have these characters associate. It's just going to be like him and Thea are going to be fighting. Thea's going to be doing this. Moira is going to be doing X, Y, and Z. It's like, at the end of the day, the fights always have their impact. And they would go on for a while. But again, like I said, that fit that show's motif in a way that if they did that here, it wouldn't feel right. And while there are secrets, and while there are things that are, are going to, be different, there's going to be, at the same time, kind of a, there's going to be resolution in the positive. It's not going to be like, I don't see a world in which it doesn't matter what the secret is, and what the parents have been keeping from the daughter or whatever, because it's obvious that something's being kept from the daughter, or from Naomi. But, I don't see a world in which this show continues on and they don't, they just ignore it. And like, that happens and they just completely, disregard everything, and it's like, we're never speaking again, where it's like, there will be, an episode or two of tension, and then it'll be like, alright, understanding. I think that's, unique for TV. Non-comedic TV, because that kind of thing happens in comedy a lot, not so much in, serialized drama. But yeah, for real this time, we'll wrap up there for today. Tomorrow we will have the Book of Boba Fett episode 2. Next week we will have Book of Boba Fett episode 3. And just a little bit of a fair warning, I do have a winter weather advisory in effect right now. I was going to see the 355. That will be weather permitting, because I don't care how good a movie is, I am not risking life and limb to go see a movie. It's not fair to the people who work at the movie theater, who will inevitably look at me and be like, oh, this is the asshole who goes to the movies during a fucking blizzard. The same way they would look at me and be like, oh, this is the asshole who goes to the movies during a pandemic. But, for the 355, I'm not going to risk life and limb. I probably wouldn't have risked life and limb for Spider-Man No Way Home. Definitely not going to risk life and limb for that. In the imminent future, we're also going to have the new Star Wars book that came out yesterday. I haven't read it yet, and I will have an Audible credit on Friday to be able to listen to it. So, yeah, that will be impending. TBD, as the kids say. So, yeah, that will be impending as well. And then the week after is Belle. I'm going Wednesday to see Belle, the new anime movie from the creator of Mirai. And there was one more. Scream next week. I'm not looking forward to, but oh well. So until then, have a great rest of your week.